Hey guys, welcome back to Ruben Tech. Today I have a big question for you, one that's been weighing on my mind a lot, and that is, should Google fire Sundar Pichai? Is it time for him to go? And unfortunately, I think the answer is yes. If you are in Google stock, you know the frustrating experience of being a stockholder, which is that here is a company that literally matches Microsoft. And every metric, they're basically the same company when it comes to the numbers. Now, their revenue is structured differently since Google has to pay out more expenses and they bring in more revenue. But if you look at their last 5 years, the performance of them, let me bring up Microsoft here. Okay, so if we come and we look at this, right? Microsoft net income, 10.7 billion 5 years ago, 22 billion last quarter. So what is that? 2.2% or 210% doubling roughly. Look at this. Net income 7.07%, 7.07 billion less than Microsoft, 23.6 billion above Microsoft. This is over 300%. Okay. Revenue 40.5 billion to 84.7 billion. A little bit more in a 2x. Microsoft 33.1 billion to 64.7, just under 2x. Okay. Cash and equivalents, they're both buying back stocks, paying dividends, so they're using this. But just look, Microsoft 75.5 billion on hand, 34.4 billion working capital. Alphabet 101 billion on hand, 84.1 in working capital. Now I know that that's not too big of a deal. People are like, we want to see that money do something, but they're taking that money, they're buying back stock, both of them paying dividends. Balance sheet, 415 billion assets, 114 billion liabilities, super strong balance sheet, 512 billion in assets, 244 in liabilities. So they have 100 billion more in assets, but they have 100 billion more in liabilities. So roughly the same, right? So what are they net? They're net 250, roughly 260, and Google is net 300. So again, you could say Google beats them, but it's roughly the same. Free cash flow, Alphabet 13.5 billion. 23.3. Okay, so Alphabet they are building out their cloud a little bit more. They're both building out cloud, but Alphabet's probably building out a little bit more, right now. I would say that's one advantage that Microsoft has, but Google's growing there. However, Microsoft, it's trading at 36.11. Google is trading at 23.27, a pathetic 23.27. Okay. These are the same companies. This should be trading at least where Microsoft is, if not where Apple is. Apple's a dying company. Okay. We say if you're not growing, you're dying. They're not growing. Look at this. These 3 years are basically the same. They're actually just a little bit down. It's like a teeny tiny downtrend. Okay. Right? Look at this. Peak, down, but essentially down from here, slight down, right? So let's just say dying is an exaggeration, but they're not growing, but their stock going up. Microsoft stock going up like crazy. Google stock, yeah, it goes up. It's going up, but it's not on the level of these. Look, 36.1 price to earnings, 34.77. I know that PE is and everything, but with companies like these that are well established, everything is kind of out in the open. Their PE should be very similar. Alphabet should at least be a $3 trillion company. Okay. And you know why it isn't? Sundar. I like Sundar Pichai. His story is absolutely amazing on what he's done in his personal life, coming over from the area he was in, being brilliant, able to do this, now leading one of the biggest companies in the world. But he does not have the personality of Satya. Sundar is like, what's his name before Satya? I forget his name. Bought the Clippers. Paul Allen? No. What is his name? Ballmer. Sorry, Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer's Microsoft made money hand over fist, but the stock didn't do anything because the market hated Ballmer. He's just boring. Okay? That's Sundar, right? Satya came in. It was like, ooh, new blood in Microsoft. Microsoft just, yeah, he did some smart stuff. I'm not saying he did. Not like he literally just came in and went up. He did some restructuring. But that's what Google's lacking. Alphabet's lacking right now. Okay? They need a personality change. Sundar is Ballmer. they need a Satya at a minimum. Apple's been playing this game forever. That's Jobs. He didn't invent it, right? Everyone's been doing this. Everyone's a salesman for these CEOs. But Jobs took it to the next level in recent years. And Elon has taken it to extreme levels. In fact, you could say we are officially in the meme stock era. And Elon is the leader of this, right? I mean, think about Tesla, where they have like no expectations at all on the stock. The stock has literally, right? Elon came out and said, oh, we're going to have a bad year this year. So everybody revised expectations to be nothing. And then they beat it. And they didn't even smash it. They just beat it, right? And the stock just, boom, 20 it flies, right? And why is that? Because we're in the meme stock era. People don't care about numbers that much. They don't care about the fundamentals. What they care about is the story. On CNBC the other day, I forgot this guy came on. They were like, what do you expect from my Alphabet? And he goes, well, Alphabet gives you a B, stuff big. He's like, what are they doing? Where are they going? What's their story? And as soon as he said the word story, all of a sudden I turned to the TV. Because you see, I'm very interested in stories. Carl Jung, his archetypes, all these things, stories are very important to human beings. It's an integral part of our nature, right? It's absolutely essential to who we are. And there's this group of people that think, oh, we're going to be more analytical. We're taking the stories out of it. No, we're not. We're becoming more story-oriented, okay? Kids nowadays have a harder time distinguishing what I would call analytical reality from story time. There's really no difference. My son, he plays in VR, right? And when he plays with these kids on Gorilla Tag, it's like he's playing at a playground. He's reaching around, waving his arms. I'll bring in one of his videos on here one day. What's up, cakers? Right? He's all over the place, talking. It's not like when we were kids, we were playing Nest and we're like this, right? He's just shaking hands, right? They're climbing vines, looking over to the right, talk to somebody, looking over to the left, talk to somebody. But he's in this virtual world where everybody's an ape, right? But that's not unusual to them. They operate within that story, and it's no different. And the stock market's like that now, okay? Is Tesla's the perfect thing? They explained it. It's definitely a cult stock. There's no doubt about it. And when I say this stuff, don't think I'm saying something bad. But nobody is looking at Tesla and pricing off of fundamentals. In fact, you can't. You literally can't. And that's why I've been saying, what are fundamentals? Fundamentals aren't numbers anymore. Fundamentals are, what story do you have? So when a guy at CNBC came on, he said, what's Google doing? What's their story? That stood out to me. Nobody really knows what Google's doing. And Google has been a company that people love to hate for the longest time anyways. Ever since they said that don't be evil, which you should never, ever, ever say, because as soon as you say that, you put a target on your back. Okay, because nobody likes a goody-goody. And on top of that, they pissed off mainstream media, and mainstream media has been poisoning everybody's mind, and everybody's hopped in for years to poison Google's rep. Okay? And yet all they do is they come and like last quarter, all they do is just come and crush everything, right? Revenue year over year increased 14 billion. Here's a company, $74 billion in revenue in 2023, raised it to 84, almost 85 billion. This is how large they are, and they're beating revenue year over year by 14%. Operating income 21.8 to 27.4, 32% operating income. Elon got his operating income, what was it, 21%? And everybody's jumping through, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. He's got an operating, where is it? Gross margin on 18, wow. You know, meanwhile, Google's like, oh, what, 32%. You know what happened after this, right? They beat on everything, crushed everything, missed on one item. One item they missed on. YouTube came in at 0.33 billion or something under expectations. 8.66, I think they were expecting right here. I got it here, 8.93. So less than 300 million on something, we're talking billions. And because of that, what happened to stock? It sold off. Just, oh, hey, was right here. 181 went down to 167. No 20% there. High expectations, super high expectations, right? So it's like it meets expectations. No, they didn't meet. They beat. But the market was expecting huge numbers. They're expecting Google to put up 12 to 14% every single quarter. They go ahead, they do it. And they don't get rewarded for it. They don't have this huge pop. And yes, they go up. Why? Because there's still a lot of fundamental guys out there. There's a lot of guys like me that are just, we're too boring. Here's their one. This is where they announced their dividend, the earnings, right? Smashed everything. They beat every single item on earnings here. Announced the dividend, okay? And they went from 156 to 160. What is that? 171. So that's a big one. That's 10%, which for Google, for Alphabet, it's just huge. That's huge. But then of course it gave it right back, most of it. Okay. And then the people came in and said, wow, this company's super cheap. Why isn't this trading more? They start buying it and went up. And then the government said, oh, hey, we're going to break Google up. No, it's going down. Even though broken up, it'd be worth more. But yeah, so that's my thought out to you guys. I like Sundar. I think he's a great guy. But is it time for him to go? Okay. Is his smartiness, his boringness holding back Alphabet? Do we need to get in Elizabeth Holmes, call her up from prison, Elon Musk type, Elizabeth, Elon, they're basically the same people. When I say that, I'm not being mean. Even Elon has said in an interview to Tucker Carlson, which I don't think he was joking. They call it gallows humor. That if Kamala wins, he thinks he might be going to prison. And he was laughing about it, but I think he might actually believe that. That's why he's putting so much money into Trump. Which is fine, right? And you might say, well, I don't want a CEO like that. Some of you that don't like Elon. Well, I do, because I'm not the one doing it. He's the one selling the story. And if there's people out there that want a story, and they're going to return what Tesla returns after earnings day, okay? So mind you that Tesla had, look at this. This is not a company. This does not look like a company trading at 67, right? Look at this. This is flat. This is a company that looks like its growth is stalled. Look at this. Then it comes down, right? This isn't something that's growing, right? They had no expectations. And yeah, they beat no expectations this quarter. Good for them. But they had no expectations. It wasn't like Alphabet where they're like, oh, hey, we have huge expectations. We expect you to post tremendous numbers, and they crushed it. No, I mean, starting Q2, Tesla, basically, the analysts are sort of revising down. Like, oh, no. Remember where they went from 480,000 expected cars to like 420? Right? Or was it like 390? It was like some insane amount that they dropped. Right? And then Tesla beat it. And they're like, oh, they beat it. And it's like, what? You dropped it like 50,000 from your expectation. But that's okay. It doesn't matter to me. Right? You might say it's more volatile. You might say, I'd like to study this at Google. But I like this. I like this. This is really nice. And the fact that they're trading at 860, I mean, they're trading almost at half of what Alphabet is. And they're not even close. They would have to grow revenue 10x, 11x to be where Alphabet is. And yet they're a little bit at 40% of what they are market cap. You might say, oh, it's priced for the future. Sorry, we don't price it. What's this price for? Like literally 2035? So you're paying for what they're going to make in 2035 now? Like, that's ridiculous. If you're going to try to sell me on numbers, you don't have to sell me on numbers. All you got to do is say what it is. Elon Musk, right? He's selling the story. They all do it to a degree. Not all. Sundar isn't selling anything. But most of the good guys, they're doing it. Get that Alex guy from Palantir, right? He's with the military. So he goes on, he says military type comments about our enemies. Google doesn't want to work with these guys. I'll work with these guys, I'll take those contracts. People like him. He's a dynamic CEO, right? And he's actually putting up numbers too. So Palantir going up. So I like Sundar. I like his personal appeal. I like how intelligent he is. But I don't think he should be CEO of a company like Google, Alphabet. I think we need somebody more dynamic in there. Unlock some of the value, right? Google should be a $3 trillion stock, minimum. If they get broken up, I think that it will be worth $3 trillion. Part of me wants them to get, if it wasn't for the fact that I think the government's case is the worst case, literally. It is just so pathetic. The government knows nothing about this type of stuff. And so if I didn't think that they were completely wrong in almost everything, I would actually want Google to be broken up, because I think that separately it would unlock all of that latent value that's in there. And so that we would see probably 3.5. I think it could be possible the stock, just not financial advice, but I think it could double. It could double within a few months, right? I mean, look at YouTube on its own, right? Look at Waymo. Look at things like this. They got so much potential, but they get lost because, like the analyst said on CNBC, what's Google doing? What's their story? They don't have none. So we're going into earnings here. I'm sure that Google, as usual, is going to smash on everything. They'll miss on one item. So they'll probably be like, oh, yeah, we're making huge amounts of money. Boom, 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 boom. Money, hand over fist. Oh, then there'll be like one item. Oh, wait. There's one item, 14.1 billion expected. It was only 14.05. You lost 50 million there, and the stock will sell off or something, right? And you'll say why, and you'll read all the articles. It's because, well, it's all about numbers with Google. There's nothing else. There's no story. There's literally zero story. Okay. And this is the story-based world. We are in meme stock world. You have to have a story. Okay. Thoughts down below. I'm not looking forward to Alphabet earnings. As you can tell. Thank you.